What is up, YouTube? My name is G3 Iron, and today we are chatting about what everybody else is chatting about so far in their opening weekend of playing Betrayal League in Path of Exile's 3.5 release. So I've kind of noticed that there are really 5 different categories that people are chatting about over the weekend as everybody has been diving in to Betrayal League. So let's take a look so far at what people are chatting about. This is basically a summary of what different streamers are talking about, what different people are talking about on YouTube, as well as the forums, as well as the PoE subreddit. So the fifth thing, or the fifth most prevalent thing that I've seen, is people talking about their builds and the new skills. So seeing a lot of different people that have started out with new skills. I actually started a champion that was trying to use the Impale mechanic and Shattering Steel and Lancing Steel, and just found out that I was having a better time using other regular melee skills like Lacerate, Reave, Cleave, etc. Even Consecrated Path. Just had a better time leveling with it. Most notably, have seen Ryze as well as Tarkecat using the brands in their respective leagues. Saw Mathil also using the new steel skills on a champion in Betrayal Softcore. And Zizaran in Hardcore was using the new Winter Orb skill, and a couple other folks have been using them as well, but those were the main folks that I saw over the weekend trying out the new skills. So how about you? How's your build going, and are you using any of the new skills? Fourth thing that people are talking about is Delve, Sulphite costs, and progression. So a lot of people right now are complaining about the way how Delve progression is working in Betrayal, and I'm not sure if it's bugged, if this is intended or what, but it seems like once you get to maps, it seems like Nico doesn't jump the Delve progress up to that particular level of zone. So for a lot of people that are getting into level 70 zones plus in their maps, they're still having to progress and take time to progress their delve past, like, you know, zone level 45, 50, 60, and having to do all of those little mini encounters. And no matter how fast your build is, that still feels bad that you have to, one slow or even fast encounter at a time, progress your mine all the way down to your appropriate depth that you otherwise would be able to farm. And that's not the way how it worked in Delve. So it seems like that's a big distinction and something that they've gone away from. So it's almost like that content is now too easy because you're simply over-leveled past where the Delve difficulty zone is at when you reach maps. So it really doesn't feel that great. Also, on top of that, of course, there's everybody always complaining about sulfite costs and sulfite storage capacity, which seems to be the age-old debate. As soon as Delve was released, I'm not sure there's a single person that enjoyed Delve that didn't say they wanted to have more available sulfite or have a higher cap to their sulfite collection, because when you're delving, you want to be able to delve for a long time and you don't want to stop delving. And then conversely, on the other hand, when you're mapping and you are getting into a groove mapping and you ding the maximum amount of sulfite that you can grab, it feels bad if you don't go and use that sulfite. You don't want to miss out on another opportunity when you do actually see Nico. That was very, very frequent. That was a frequent discussion during Delve League, and so that's back. That discussion is back, and it seems to be raging all the harder presently as people are interacting with the Delve League or the Delve mechanic. Thirdly is the Atlas progression. That's what a lot of different videos and a lot of different streamers are talking about, just how they're progressing, how they're shaping their Atlas, how they're building and filling out their Atlas. A lot of folks that I'm seeing, just as a summary statement, a lot of folks are just going 159 out of 159 and then getting their Elder Orb. That's what a lot of folks that are making a ton of currency are doing on their own, whether that's themselves, for their guild, or as a group. It seems like the Elder Orb is now the new meta. So a lot of different discussion going on about Atlas progression, about what tiers of maps are best to farm on and different locations. One thing, this is just the very beginning of the league, so I would say a lot of people are still testing layouts and seeing what are the best layouts for XP as well as for divination card drops. But one thing that has been huge is people are talking about the Atlas and progressing through the Atlas and making money. Have been scarabs. Scarabs have been very, very helpful for target farming div cards already, as well as for farming particular prophecies, as well as for farming, just adding monsters to maps and XP. Think about it like the way how you'd think about sextants as well as fragments, that if you're going to spend money on your maps, it's best to go all in. So in other words, rather than simply buying a map and then alking it and voling it, now what you want to do, that's one approach, and that's fine if you're doing that. But if you really want to get the max investment on your map and your max return on your investment, you're going to want to alk. You're going to want to, well, first you're going to want to chisel, then you're going to want to alk, then you're going to want to vol it. You're going to want to make sure that you've got as many sextants loaded up on that particular map as possible. You're going to make sure that you use one of the scarabs that you're particularly using for farming that zone. And then you're probably going to fill in those other 2 slots either with other scarabs or even just with the hidden bonus of increased quantity from Adziri fragments. So that's what a lot of folks are talking about in terms of Atlas progression and the meta that is evolving in 3.5 for the Atlas. The second most popular thing that I've seen people talking about is Syndicate Rewards and just a general memeing of Syndicate. What do I do? I'm confused. So many people are confused with the Syndicate. There are so many different things that people are focusing on that don't necessarily need to be focused on. So there are several different content creators. I'm not going to steal credit for this. This is other people doing really awesome work, and I'm going to share their awesome work. I'm not going to take credit for it in any way. Other people are doing really awesome work for actually documenting and recording all of the different rewards that we've discovered so far for the Syndicate. So I'm going to post some of that info down in the more info in the video description. So if you want some of that info, you can get it there. There's going to be other videos that are going to be coming out later on in the week that are going to talk more about those Syndicate rewards, as well as giving credit where credit is due to the people that are testing all of this stuff. But there's just this general sensation of WTF Syndicate. Like, what do we do with the Syndicate? Who ought to you be investigating? What options ought to you be pursuing? And how does the mechanic work? Simply put, the mechanic is crazy bonkers good for getting items, as well as for creating currency, as well as for interacting with the market. It is a crazy, amazingly well-designed, albeit it looks confusing, but it is a well-designed system that allows you to target farm a lot of different things. And because there's a lot of different things involved, there are so many different things that you could possibly target farm that are available. That's what's adding to the confusion. It's not simply, oh, I'm farming breach splinters in order to get a breach stone in order to go kill a boss. It's that times 19 because there's 19 different characters. So depending on what it is that you are target farming, there's a lot of options and there's a lot of ways to generate currency. Okay, lastly, the number one thing that people are talking about is Syndicate fights. And I see this buzzword used all over the place, whether it's in Twitch chat, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on the forums, whether it's on Reddit. Everybody is using the buzzword. Are these fights overtuned? Oh my gosh, my level 6 guy couldn't take down a Syndicate guy that did chaos damage. Well, that's because you have like negative chaos resistance. And anyway, so a lot of people are complaining about Syndicate fights, whether or not that's Syndicate encounters just on a regular particular level or on a regular basis, right? In any particular instance, people are simply saying, hey, these are really difficult encounters, regardless of whether it's happening during the story, during the regular campaign, during the Atlas, during regular master missions. It doesn't matter when it is. People are simply saying, hey, Syndicate fights are hard and it feels hard. I have 2 things to say on that just really quickly. 1, good. And 2, hooray. Like, I think this is great for the game because there's plenty of different content that's relatively easy for lots of different builds. So the fact that Syndicate fights are hard on release, that's actually a good thing because it simply means that it's not too easy from the get-go. It's going to take us some time to get used to it, and that's actually good. It's going to train us and teach us to get better at the game. There's opportunity to scale your skill as you learn these different Syndicate fights. That's a good thing. I think that's good design. Confusion would not be good in fights. Not knowing what to do, that's really, really poor design. But what's really, really great design is having these different fights, and they are different. Every single encounter feels different, whether or not you're getting an assassination attempt against you, whether or not you're assaulting a fortification, whether or not you're going in and looking at a research lab, or whether or not you're assaulting a fortress. It feels great. All of these different fights, if you're, I don't think I mentioned transportation. The transportation one is fantastic as well, that there's just this period of time that you got to take out these guys. There's essentially this timer that's ticking down. It's almost like a breach, but it's a breach that moves. Anyway, so these are fantastically designed fights and fantastically designed encounters, in my opinion. The fact that they're hard early on is a great thing, because as we all figure them out and as we all get geared, they're going to become much, much easier. The second thing that I say hurrah for is this is great that there's more content that's designed to be difficult in the game, and I enjoy that. So from a design perspective, I think it's a good thing, and then from a personal standpoint, I just think hurrah, there's tough stuff that I need to say every single instance, whether or not I want to interact with the Syndicate. Is my build going able to handle this right now? Am I capable of doing this? Am I capable of taking this out? And is it going to be beneficial to me? Because just like number 2, hey, there's great rewards. I think that great rewards ought to be in some way gate kept by difficult content, and so we've got that. I think that's great. So moving on, what do you think? Leave us a comment down below about what do you think. How's your league start going? Mine didn't go that great starting on the champion because I had to swap over from the steel skills. Wasn't that impressed with them. Folks that were worried about them from the get-go about scaling flat physical, I think folks were mostly right. It's going to be pretty tough to scale flat physical characters, especially early on in the league when there's not just a ton of Abyss Jewels that are floating around with a bunch of flat fizz and flat life on them. But I think they'll scale later on in the league as we're able to scale currency into them. So are any of you using the new skills or taking advantage of the tweaks to different ascendancies that have come out in 3.5? Let us know down in the comments below. And then next, have you done any delving thus far? Before you complain about sulfite caps and what the delving experience is like, are you just reading other people complaining, or have you actually delved at all? I have. I delved as soon as I hit maps. I didn't touch delve until I hit maps, and then when I hit maps, I was like, why am I in like a level 50 area as I'm supposed to be in like a level 70 area for maps? Why would I waste my time doing delve? Now I've got to spend a bunch of time doing delve stuff in order to get to where I ought to be, which is maps. Why wouldn't I just go do maps? So it really felt bad. Third question, what's your Atlas progression at? Just in terms of numerical value, how far are you progressing along the Atlas? Are you able to find a lot of maps, or are you having to buy a lot of maps? The Master's missions and the Master changes to Zana have been amazing. I've loved that for Atlas progression so far. I think I've only had to buy 1 or 2 maps, and so far my Atlas progression is going rather steady. Next off, what's the best thing you've gotten from the Syndicate so far? So those of you that have actually interacted with the league mechanic and haven't avoided it like the plague, what's the best thing you've gotten from the Syndicate so far? I had a Tiny's trial that I accidentally crafted a 5-link with some really, really good energy shield on and then sold it. Thanks so much to ZiggyD and sharing his video, because he basically outlines, hey, look, get something with a base of energy shield and then go for around 450 to 500 energy shield on a 5-link, and that will go for a little bit of chaos early on. So that's the best thing that I've gotten so far from the Syndicate. I really like Tiny's trial, and the timing that you have for it. It gives you this rush, this sense of, yes, accomplishment, pride and accomplishment, insert EA meme here. But it gives you a sense of pride and accomplishment, as well as this little rush to, hey, what's the best thing I can craft in 12 or 16 seconds? And then lastly, can your build handle the Syndicate encounters? So are you dying a bunch to different Syndicate members? And the ones that you're dying to, who are you dying to, or who are the toughest that you are facing? A lot of people are saying Chimera. A lot of people are saying Tora. There's some people saying Hillock. I'm seeing people saying different names in different, basically different builds are saying different things, and different players are saying different encounters are difficult, which to me is great, because if there's a bunch of different people all saying that there are different bosses that are difficult for their particular build, but that there are other bosses that are easier, that actually says, hey, this is great gameplay design. Because depending on how you choose to build your character and how you choose to play your character, there's going to be more things that are difficult, or some things that are less difficult, depending on how your playstyle is and how your character is built. So can your build handle the Syndicate encounters, and what particular Syndicate members are difficult for you? Leave us a comment down below, and as always, you can like and subscribe for more PoE content, as almost every single day, no, pretty much every single day this week, we're going to come out with Betrayal videos. So I'm stoked for it, and I've been enjoying the league. Hope you have too.